Now, before you can do any work at all, you have to have a data source, because this is statistical analysis and we do statistical analysis with data. So that's the third thing. You have to have at least one data source. Okay. Now, this data source here, if you go and say create data source, okay, you can create, that create here really means attach an already existing SAS data source. If you have SAS data source, which is in SAS format, then you can attach it. That's what create data source means. Okay. So right now we're going to be working with an Excel file. So Excel file is not a SAS data source, so we cannot use create data source. So we will see an example of creating a data source a little later. Okay, so right now let's import an Excel data file. Okay, so there are some similarities between all of these. So so you will see the same thing getting repeated, and after we get used to it, then we can quickly do all these things and keep going to the more fun stuff of modeling. Okay, so now we want to bring in data that is not in a SAS data file, right? So that's available from here. Select select a tab and hover, then you will see what the options available for you, and that's import. Okay. And this is what we will be doing in whenever there is an activity that we want to do. You have to go and look for an icon and then click, hold, and drag and drop it into the diagram. So click, hold, drag, right, and then drop. So that will create a node for you. These are called nodes. Okay. Now for each node, you will see a bunch of properties here, the node properties. So depending upon what kind of node it is, the properties will vary. Okay. Now here, the important properties that we need are what file to import. And there are lots of other options. You can have a kind of delimiter if it is a text file, and so on. So I'm not going to go deep into all the possible ways in which you can bring data using file import. Okay, I'm just going to give you one example, and then depending upon what kind of data you have, then you look at the documentation, figure out how to bring that particular type of data file. So click that ellipsis, the 3 dots. Okay, and see, this is Excel file, and that's the reason why we cannot use library. Library is only for SAS data sets. Okay, so you have to click browse and West Roxbury. Now West Roxbury is a data set of house prices. Okay. Let's look at the data file just as, before we import it. Okay, so here is the description, total value, tax, lot square foot, year built, and so on. Okay, and the idea is based on these predictors. Okay, we want to predict the value of the property. Okay, so that means with the terminology that we have used, the value of the property is what kind of variable is that? It's called a response variable, right? Dependent variable, and then there is one more name, which is what's commonly used in data mining. Target, exactly. Target. Okay. And the other variables, or the X variables, or independent variables, predictor variables. They are also called predictors or features. In data mining terminology, these would be called features. All right, so let's close this. So we're going to go back to Excel SAS Miner, then you open that. Okay. So now at this point, you can do a preview of the data. Okay. Then see what we have. All right. So see the first row must have header. First row must be a header row with the names of the columns, right? And then we have the values. Okay. So I'm going to X out of that. All right. And then click OK. Now that's going to bring in the data in.